After being reborn, I decisively cancelled my wedding with Liam Young and submitted an application to study abroad. He brought Scarlet Hale home, and I voluntarily gave up my bedroom. He said Scarlet Hale needed to stay at home for a few days, and I obediently prepared 3 meals a day. Anyway, in 7 days, I would be flying across the ocean. In my previous life, I married him, but I was merely a spice in their love story. Liam Young used the excuse of a field trip to take Scarlet Hale around the world, seeing all the sights. And I was just a tool to serve the elderly and raise their child. Even after death, I was subjected to an autopsy and labeled a virgin to prove their loyal love. This time around, I'm not serving anyone. When I received the list of overseas exchange students from the hospital, I cried tears of joy. I had been reborn. Just as I was about to submit my application for the exchange program, the director asked me curiously, "Aren't you supposed to be preparing for your wedding? This overseas study program will take 2 years. Is your fiancé willing to wait for you?" When I mentioned Liam Young, my memories of him had already grown faint. Vaguely, I only remembered that everyone praised him as a dashing gentleman with extraordinary manners, and his love for Scarlet Hale, which everyone praised as a love that would last until death. Coming back to my senses from my memories, I looked at the director with a determined expression. That only means we weren't meant to be. For me, learning more medical knowledge and saving more lives is what I pursue. The director looked at me with admiration. I knew that the people sent abroad for exchange programs were carefully selected talents, and upon returning to the country, they would be promoted to lead surgeons without a doubt. In my previous life, I had given up this opportunity to study abroad because in 10 days, it would be my wedding day with Liam Young. The Young family was a scholarly family, and Liam Young was a painter. I was merely the Young family's adopted daughter, raised from childhood to be Liam Young's ward. However, Liam Young didn't love me, he only loved Scarlet Hale, who was passionate, open-minded, and free-spirited. But due to parental pressure, he reluctantly married me. On our wedding day, he told me he was physically impaired and unable to consummate the marriage, refusing to share a bed with me. He then used the excuse of traveling abroad to seek inspiration for his paintings, taking Scarlet Hale with him around the world. In the 3rd year of our marriage, he returned with the son he had had with Scarlet Hale. He deceived me, claiming he had adopted him as a foster son during his travels, and asked me to take good care of him. I stayed at home alone, serving my parents and raising the child. I watched helplessly as the child I had poured all my love and effort into grew distant from me. It wasn't until he grew up and insisted on studying abroad that I discovered the truth. He was Liam and Scarlet's child, and had already acknowledged his biological mother behind my back. After years of care, he showed no gratitude toward me, instead blaming me for standing in the way of his parents' love. In the end, I died alone in an empty house from a heart attack, my body left to rot unnoticed. Just a month after my burial, Liam Young and Scarlet Hale held a grand wedding. At the wedding, Liam Young spoke with deep emotion, declaring his love to Scarlet Hale. After 30 years apart, they had finally become a couple. It was hailed as a beautiful love story. And I, who had obstructed their love, used my parents to pressure him, and forced myself to marry Liam Young, became the other woman. Even after my death, my body was subjected to a post-mortem examination, and the conclusion that I was a virgin became a testament to their love's fidelity. My entire life was wasted on them, serving as a mere catalyst for their love. But now I have been reborn, and I will not repeat the same mistakes. Everything can still be salvaged. Upon returning home, I did not cook for the first time and locked myself in the study to prepare for my upcoming overseas trip. The spots for the exchange program have already been secured, and I have 1 week left to prepare. In 1 week, I will officially depart for abroad. I was so caught up in the joy of getting a second chance that I didn't notice when Liam Young returned. A week ago, Liam Young unexpectedly agreed to marry me, so I followed my parents' arrangements and stayed home obediently, waiting for the wedding in 10 days. Otherwise, as usual, he would have taken Scarlet Hale out to play somewhere. "Vivian Jiang, you're back. Why didn't you cook?" "I'm starving." Liam Young is heartless toward me, but I am truly indebted to his parents. Since I've decided to leave, for the sake of his parents, I won't dwell on these trivial matters. As soon as I stepped out of the study, I saw Scarlett Hale peering curiously into the room. Scarlett Hale was a trained dancer, with a slender, graceful figure and a carefree expression. I had seen countless portraits of her dancing in Liam Young's studio. "Lee, is this your wedding room? It's decorated so thoughtfully." She said this to Liam Young, but her gaze was fixed on me. Liam Young looked flustered and hurriedly explained. "This isn't the wedding room I wanted. My wedding room couldn't possibly be so modest." Liam Young was telling the truth. This apartment was prepared by his parents for us, a ordinary 3-bedroom unit, so we could live together and build our relationship. Liam Young had never asked about it, but under his parents' pressure, he moved in with me. However, he often stayed out late or went on business trips, rarely returning home, and never considered this place his home. In his previous life, when he married Scarlett Hale, he bought a standalone villa as their wedding home, meticulously designing and decorating every corner of the house. Scarlett Hale smiled approvingly at Liam Young's words. "You say that, and Vivian Jiang must feel so hurt." I shook my head. In the past, hearing such words would indeed have made me sad, because I had once harbored expectations for him. I was raised as his ward from a young age, educated to become a suitable wife for Liam Young, so I was once willing to make sacrifices and hoped that Liam Young would accept me, even fantasizing about a lifetime of devotion to him. But in this new life, I have long since let go of any expectations for Liam Young. I have my own value and purpose in life. I am not here to live for others. Scarlett Hale's boastful words didn't hurt me at all. Miss Scarlett misunderstood. "I'm just staying here temporarily. This room will have its own mistress, but it won't be me." Liam Young looked at me with a probing expression, as if he hadn't expected me to say such a thing. After all, in his eyes, I had always been the one who had forced him to marry me by relying on my parents' favoritism. Scarlett Hale, with a triumphant air, took Liam Young's hand as if declaring her ownership. "Lee, didn't you say there was a surprise for me in your studio? Take me to see it." Liam Young snapped back to reality, shifting his appraising gaze away from me. With eyes full of affection, he led Scarlett Hale to the studio, not forgetting to remind me to hurry up and finish dinner before leaving. Watching their backs as they left, I thought to myself that I had to go to Mr. and Mrs. Young immediately to clarify everything and cancel my wedding with Liam Young. After dinner was ready, I called them twice before they reluctantly emerged from the studio. Scarlett Hale's face was flushed, and there were tears in the corners of her eyes. She was clearly moved by the countless portraits in Liam Young's studio. I ignored their interaction and ate my meal on my own. "Lee, I don't like garlic sprouts." "Lee, this fish tastes strange." "Lee, I usually drink a glass of vegetable juice in the evening." "Is there none?" Liam Young glanced at me, who was sitting silently beside him. "Didn't you hear Letty? Pay more attention when you cook in the future." I caught his words sharply. "In the future?" I looked at Liam Young in confusion. Liam Young looked completely at ease. "Letty's water pipe is broken, so she'll be staying here for a while." The broken water pipe was just an excuse, the real reason was to keep an eye on me. In Scarlett Hale's eyes, Liam Young and I were getting married in 10 days, and she couldn't let him touch me, so she had chosen to move in with us. And Liam Young, because of my previous concessions, had grown accustomed to treating me however he pleased. Thinking about having to endure these two bickering for the week before leaving the country, I felt a headache coming on. Before leaving, I didn't want anything else to distract me, so I endured Scarlett Hale's provocation. After finishing dinner and tidying up, I prepared the empty room in the house for Scarlett Hale and then went into the study. With only a week to arrange everything, canceling the engagement, arranging my departure abroad, and handling daily work, time was tight. I stayed in the study until 11 p.m. On the calendar in front of me, the day a week from now was marked with a big red star, and today was crossed out. After standing up, I stretched lazily, intending to return to my room for some rest, but as I approached the door, I heard moans coming from inside. I stopped in my tracks, confirming the sound was coming from my room. The person inside made no effort to conceal themselves, their moans growing louder with each passing moment. I didn't mind their intimacy, but not in Liam Young's room, not in Scarlett Hale's room. They chose my room, clearly intending to humiliate me. I suppressed the anger in my heart, calmed my breathing, and turned to go to the room I had arranged for Scarlett Hale. Well, it was just a place I was staying temporarily. What did I have to care about? I'd endure it. It would be over in a week. The next morning, as soon as I opened the door, I saw Scarlett Hale wandering around the living room in a strapless nightgown, completely unconcerned. When she saw me, she greeted me enthusiastically with an apologetic expression on her face. "I'm so sorry, Lee was worried I wouldn't be comfortable sleeping in the small bed, and I couldn't refuse him, so I borrowed your room first." "You're not angry, are you?" I shook my head to snap out of it. What a lousy start to the day. "Letty, you don't have to be so subservient to her. This is my house, not hers. You don't have to kowtow to her." Liam Young emerged from my room with a cold expression, glaring at me with obvious displeasure, as if he thought I had been bullying Scarlett Hale. I exhaled deeply, turned away to avoid eye contact, and headed to the kitchen to prepare breakfast for myself. Out of politeness, I still prepared breakfast for Liam Young and Scarlett Hale. After finishing my breakfast and getting ready to leave for the hospital, the two of them finally sat down at the table, looking sticky and sloppy. "Aw, I'm allergic to mangoes. How could you prepare mango juice for me? Are you trying to kill me?" Hearing Scarlett Hale's exclamation, I stopped in my tracks at the door and couldn't help but roll my eyes. "Vivian Jiang, come back. Where are you going? Didn't you hear Letty? With your jealous nature, how can you be a qualified wife for me? Only my parents were fooled by your superficiality and favored you." Liam Young has always been dissatisfied with me because he was born into an intellectual family, and the education he received since childhood felt like a constraint to him. So he dislikes me, who was raised according to my parents' expectations, and is instead drawn to Scarlett Hale, who is open-minded, free-spirited, and unbound by conventions. I had planned to leave quietly, but these two were taking it too far. I walked to the dining table with a cold expression, while Liam Young continued to rant. "Make another one. Letty is allergic to mango. What are you standing there for?" Scarlett Hale looked at me with a smile, her eyes brimming with triumph. I dumped all the food on the table into the trash can. "Eat it if you want, or don't. Who do you think you are? If you know what I like and dislike, what I can and can't eat, then don't eat it either." Then, in the stunned gazes of the two, I slammed the door and left. Enough is enough. The experiences from my previous life had already filled me with anger toward these two, but I had refrained from showing it out of politeness. I had intended to leave gracefully, but they insisted on pushing me. Well, then, neither of us will get off looking good. After a busy day at the hospital, I took a day off specifically to discuss canceling the engagement with Mr. and Mrs. Young tomorrow. When I returned home that evening, I had expected Liam Young to confront me about this morning's incident, as I had never disobeyed him since childhood. However, it was unexpectedly quiet. I prepared dinner as usual, determined to eat normally regardless of their behavior. But today, I didn't call them to the table, I ate alone in silence. By the time Liam Young came out of his room, drawn by the smell of dinner, I had almost finished eating. Scarlett Hale reluctantly sat down at the table and opened her mouth to complain. "I told you I don't like this." Liam Young quickly picked up a piece of food with his chopsticks and placed it near her mouth, cutting her off before she could finish. I slammed down my chopsticks and stood up to leave, hearing Scarlett Hale mutter, "You didn't even say you didn't want to eat. What's the point? Are you planning to flip the table again?" I gave her a cold glance but noticed that Liam Young had been staring at me with a smirk the whole time, making me feel uneasy. I ignored them and went to the study, hearing Scarlett Hale's complaints from behind me. "Lee, look at her attitude. She hasn't even married you yet and she's already giving you the cold shoulder. What are you looking at? She's bullying you like this and you don't even care. You better tell me, do you like her?" Liam Young then whispered softly to her, and I curled my lips. They were truly a perfect match. While I was organizing books in the study, Liam Young had come in unnoticed, standing at the door with his arms crossed. The look in his eyes was one of scrutiny and curiosity I had never seen before. "I thought you were just another boring woman, but it turns out you have some personality after all. I'm actually looking forward to our married life." I rolled my eyes. This guy is crazy. When I'm nice to him, he gives me a cold shoulder, but when I turn my back, he comes crawling back. I didn't stop what I was doing. "These are my most valuable medical books. I'm taking them with me when I go abroad." "You've got it wrong. We're not getting married." Seeing that I didn't even look up when I said that, Liam Young sneered. "It wasn't your scheming that made my parents force me to come back and live with you. Do you think I wanted this? Now you're acting all innocent in front of me? If you try to please me now, maybe I'll consider coming back to play with you for a couple of days after we get married." I slammed the book down on the desk. "You're done talking. Can you leave now?" To my surprise, Liam Young's eyes sparkled with amusement as he took a step toward me. "What's the point of organizing these worthless things? Why not go back to rest early and prepare for our wedding? Tonight, you can sleep in your own room. I promise Scarlet Hale won't disturb you." Thinking about what they did in my room last night, I felt so sick I could barely keep my food down. "I find it disgusting." Liam Young seemed to ignore my words, reaching out to grab my arm and pull me out. I forcefully shook off his hand, every pore in my body rejecting his touch. "What are you doing?" Scarlet Hale angrily stepped forward, pushed me aside, and slapped Liam Young across the face. "You said you were just going to get some water to drink. Why did you come here? Are you regretting agreeing to my proposal and now want to back out?" Scarlet Hale was immediately appeased, pretending to punch Liam Young on the arm. "You think you're so clever? I'd never marry you." The two of them acted as if no one else was around, cuddling for a while before leaving the study. Scarlet Hale always prided herself on being a progressive, independent woman of the new era. If she hadn't refused to marry him, Liam Young wouldn't have married me either. Mr. Young and Mrs. Young may have favored me, but their hearts were with their own son. As long as Liam Young insisted, they wouldn't oppose him marrying Scarlet Hale. The key was that Scarlet Hale didn't want to marry him. In Scarlet Hale's eyes, an independent woman shouldn't be bound by marriage and children. Marriage was just a piece of paper. As long as there was love between two people, that was enough. Children would only hinder her pursuit of self and enjoyment of life, so in her previous life, she gave up her child shortly after giving birth and left it with me. However, this time around, Scarlet Hale is different. She seems to have noticed Liam Young's intentional or unintentional attention toward me, and she has begun to feel insecure. I shook my head to clear my thoughts. What happens to them has nothing to do with me. There are only 6 days left before I can leave. After drawing a big red cross on the calendar, I went back to my room satisfied and went to sleep. The next morning, I got up early and rushed to Mr. and Mrs. Young's house. They preferred quiet, so they lived far from the bustling city center. When I arrived, the two of them were in high spirits, checking the guest list for the wedding. In my previous life, I was also in high spirits, preparing for the wedding. But in this life, I was here to request the annulment of the engagement. They were delighted to see me and hurriedly invited me to join them in checking if anyone had been overlooked. I remained silent as I walked over to them, not participating in their conversation. Noticing my unusual behavior, Mrs. Young stopped talking and took my hand, asking me what was wrong and if Liam Young had bullied me. After hearing my purpose, the two elders fell silent. Their kindness toward me was contingent on me becoming their daughter-in-law. In my previous life, after I married Liam Young, he never came home. They would find opportunities to scold him, but after he brought the child back, they never interfered with him again, allowing him to live freely and carelessly for decades while I stayed home to care for his parents and raise the child alone. Only on their deathbed did they say I had suffered enough and hoped I could marry a good family in my next life. Now that heaven has given me another chance, I just want to live for myself. The debts of gratitude I owed from my previous life have already been repaid. Seeing my resolute attitude, Mr. Young sighed and did not insist further. This was Liam's fault, but no matter what, you are still our daughter. If you ever need anything, come find us. Don't try to handle everything on your own. I nodded. Liam Young and Scarlett Hale's affair was something they had known about all along, but I was the only one kept in the dark. After this departure, unless something unexpected happens, we will never see each other again in this lifetime. I left all my savings to Mr. and Mrs. Young, as a way to repay their kindness for raising me, even though they didn't care about the money. After leaving the Young family, I felt completely at ease. From that day onward, I was a free person, and even the air felt free. But the smile on my face faded the moment I returned home. The books I had neatly packed the night before were scattered haphazardly at the front door. When I entered the study, the entire room was in disarray, with books and trash scattered everywhere on the floor, making it impossible to walk. Scarlett Hale was sitting at my desk with a look of disgust, saying, "You're always reading this nonsense. It's disgusting." My anger flared up instantly. I rushed forward, grabbed her hair, and threw her out of the study. Scarlett Hale screamed in pain. Liam Young, who had heard the commotion and rushed over, saw Scarlett Hale lying on the ground in a disheveled state and frowned disapprovingly. "Vivian Jiang, what are you doing? This is too much. Who gave you permission to touch my things in my study? Don't you know these are all my hard work? I never go into your art studio. What right do you have to let her come into my study and cause trouble?" To my surprise, Liam Young actually laughed. "Vivian Jiang, what's wrong? Are you jealous?" I wanted to smash his head in. How dare he say such nonsense at a time like this? "Lee, it hurts so much." Scarlett Hale's soft voice rang out, and Liam Young finally remembered to help her up. "Vivian Jiang, this is my house. What's your study? After we get married, even if I tear this study down, you won't have a say in it. Get married to your mother, Liam Young. Our wedding is cancelled." This was the first time I had ever lost my composure and cursed like that. The feeling of being dependent on others was unbearable. Liam Young's words were harsh, but I couldn't refute them. This house had never been mine. I had thought I could stay here until I went abroad, but now I couldn't stand it anymore. I quickly packed my things. "I'm moving out, right now. I never want to see that couple again." After Liam Young coaxed Scarlett Hale back to her room to rest, he came out and saw me packing. He sneered. "Oh, still putting on a show? I'll admit, you did catch my attention, but if you keep this up, it'll get boring. I suggest you call it quits while you're ahead." I couldn't understand what he was barking about. Liam Young directly placed the calendar I had marked in my study in front of me, his tone brimming with triumph. "What, did you think I wouldn't notice? You were so eager to marry me, yet you had the nerve to cancel the wedding and try to deceive me?" It was only then that I realized I had marked the day I was leaving the country with a big red star, which happened to be the day we had originally planned to try on wedding dresses with Liam Young. No wonder Liam Young thought I was intentionally trying to get his attention and was looking forward to the wedding. "Go get help!" I snatched the calendar from his hands, tore it into pieces, and threw them in his face. He didn't seem to care at all, and even had a smile on his face. "I'll see how long you can keep this up." I didn't bother with him and immediately contacted a colleague who was also going abroad and whom I was close with, discussing whether I could stay at her place for a few days. My colleague agreed without hesitation, so I packed my things and moved into her place right away. A sense of relief washed over me, and the next day when I went to work at the hospital, I felt much happier. The next 2 days passed without incident. With only 2 days left before my departure, I was growing increasingly excited about my upcoming exchange program abroad. Then Liam Young appeared at the hospital. "Vivian Jiang, you really came here? If my mother hadn't told me that our engagement was cancelled, would you have kept it a secret from me?" Liam Young's accusation came out of nowhere. Shouldn't he be happy that the engagement was cancelled? After all, in the previous life, he hated me to the core because of that forced marriage. "Young master, isn't this exactly what you wanted? Besides, I told you before I left, but you didn't listen. And this is a hospital, please don't interfere with my work. What's so important about a hospital job? Can't our family afford to support you?" He said the same thing last time, and I believed him. The result was that I became a housewife who was cheated on by her husband, betrayed by the child she raised, and achieved nothing in life. "Your family can keep whoever you want. It has nothing to do with me. Now, please leave." Liam Young glared at me for a long time before finally speaking with hatred. "Don't you dare regret this." I thought that was the end of it, but the next day, Liam Young showed up at the hospital again. "Tomorrow I'm leaving the country, and today's most important task is to check that everything is in order for my departure." Instead, I saw Liam Young walking toward me through the crowd, holding a bouquet of flowers. "Vivian Jiang, we grew up together. After all these years, I don't believe you can just forget our feelings. Marry me. I truly want to marry you. You truly want to make me wear a green hat," I muttered to myself. I wondered what had gotten into Liam Young to make him so obsessed with marrying me. "Are you doing this in front of Scarlet Hale?" Liam Young's face flashed a hint of embarrassment. I directly threw the bouquet he was holding into the trash can. "Liam Young, this is so cheesy. Let me tell you, I despise you. No, I hate you. Don't ever let me see your disgusting face again." Liam Young's face turned bright red. "Vivian Jiang, don't push your luck. You just wait." "I'd love to wait, but I'm leaving the country tomorrow. If I'm lucky, we'll never cross paths again. Just thinking about it makes me laugh." Liam Young felt humiliated and stormed off angrily. The next day, I boarded the flight abroad with a mix of anticipation and nervousness. The days of studying abroad were tough but fulfilling. I was exposed to many theories and practices I had never encountered before, spending my days immersed in the hospital with great enthusiasm. I grew rapidly as a person. Knowledge and work are the best remedies. As I gained more recognition at work, I became increasingly confident, and my entire demeanor underwent a noticeable transformation. Different suitors began to appear around me one after another. But I rejected them all. Men would only slow me down, and no man was worth giving up my thriving career. "Vivi, that man is here to see you again, sneaking around like a ghost." I didn't stop my training. As a surgeon, my hands must be steady to perform surgeries quickly and accurately. I dare not skip a single day of basic training. Don't bother with him. He's just an outsider. I know the man outside is Liam Young. Over the past year, he's often appeared in some corner of the hospital, silently watching me. At first, I didn't notice him. He hid himself well, until one day one of my suitors discovered him, and the two got into a fight. Abroad, it's different from back home. They believe that only those with ability have the right to pursue others. That time, Liam Young was beaten until he was covered in bruises and bleeding from his mouth. He stayed in the hospital for a week before recovering. After that, Liam Young began to visit me more openly, no longer hiding his intentions. Even after being provoked by several groups, he never backed down. Gradually, everyone realized he was a tough nut to crack, so they stopped provoking him. He didn't speak, and I didn't bother to acknowledge him. But this time was different. Although Liam Young was silently watching me as usual, he had brought someone along. Scarlet Hale rushed up to me with a face full of jealousy and hatred. Her appearance had become much harsher compared to when I last saw her over a year ago. "I knew why he'd been traveling abroad so much lately. It was because of you, you slut. Do you really enjoy stealing other people's men? Hearing such words now, I couldn't help but sneer. The things she had done to others were now happening to her, and she couldn't handle it. It seemed that her former carefree attitude was all a facade. When she realized she couldn't keep a man's heart, she went crazy worse than anyone else. His legs are his own, what does that have to do with me? You're being unreasonable. But you could have just told him not to come. I burst out laughing. This is something she can't control herself. She's expecting me, an outsider, to help her control her man? Miss, this is a hospital. We can't refuse a patient. Just like you came here, I can't stop you, can I? Scarlet Hale heard the mockery in my words, her eyes turned red, and her face twisted in anger. She charged at me. I'll tear you apart, you bitch. Think clearly. This is a hospital. In another country, causing a disturbance in a hospital could get you arrested. Scarlet Hale was still scared by those words, glaring at me with hatred. I won't let you off the hook. I've heard that before. If you have the time to cause trouble here, why not focus your efforts on Liam Young? Good riddance. Scarlet Hale gritted her teeth. I knew she wouldn't have come here if she could have persuaded Liam Young. After finishing work for the day, I planned to rest well and review today's surgery tomorrow. As soon as I reached the front door, I saw Liam Young, drunk and slumped against my door. I kicked him aside with disgust. Having him blocking the door was truly unlucky. Just as I opened the door to go inside, Liam Young suddenly got up from the ground and wrapped his arms around me from behind. Viv, why are you ignoring me? I like you. After you left, I realized how much I like you. I've liked you since I was a child. I just rejected everything that was arranged for me since I was a child. I know you liked me too. Will you marry me? I struggled to break free, but Liam Young was too strong, and I couldn't escape. In the struggle, we ended up in the living room. Liam Young pushed me onto the sofa. Will you marry me only if you become mine? He began to tear at my clothes. I suddenly widened my eyes, unable to believe that Liam Young would do such a thing. No matter what I said, he seemed to hear nothing. As my clothes were about to be torn off, I struggled desperately, reaching for the vase on the coffee table by the sofa. I swung it with all my strength, hitting Liam Young on the head. Blood gushed out instantly, and Liam Young lost consciousness. I quickly pushed him to the ground, tidied up my clothes, and kicked him twice with hatred. What a beast! I had intended to throw Liam Young out, but suddenly remembered Scarlet Hale from earlier that day. I fumbled for Liam Young's phone and sent a message to Scarlet Hale, asking her to come and take him away. Sure enough, Scarlet Hale soon arrived at the house. Seeing Liam Young lying on the ground with blood still flowing, she screamed and ran over. I covered my ears. Stop screaming! He's not dead yet. He tried to rape me. I was just defending myself. Scarlet Hale stared at Liam Young on the ground in disbelief. I'm handing him over to you. Don't ever show your face here again. You can do that, right? Scarlet Hale nodded blankly. It was better to let them fight it out than for me to get involved. Evil people have their own evil people to deal with. After that day, I never saw Liam Young again. 2 years of overseas exchange studies came to an end, and I returned to China, was promoted to chief surgeon, and transferred to the headquarters hospital, completely distancing myself from my former life. In just 10 years, I rose from a general surgeon to a chief physician, becoming the youngest chief physician. The next time I heard about Liam Young was at the hospital. Mr. Young needed brain tumor surgery, and no one else was confident they could perform it successfully. My hands were the steadiest, I had the most experience, and my success rate was the highest, so they came to me. Seeing an old acquaintance again, I felt a mix of emotions. Mrs. Young almost knelt before me. I know Liam wronged you in the past, but please, for the sake of our old relationship, save old Joe. I beg you. Even if you don't mention that they raised me, I am now a doctor. The life before me is a human life, and I will do everything in my power to save it, no matter who it is. The surgery was a success. During Mr. Young's recovery in the ward, I visited him once. Mrs. Young was deeply moved to see me, and through her, I also heard news about Liam Young. After Scarlett Hale brought Liam Young back to the country, I don't know what methods she used, but she managed to get pregnant with Liam Young's child. On Mr. Young's 60th birthday, she announced the news in front of all the guests, forcing Liam Young to marry her. However, Scarlett Hale was a spoiled woman who hated doing housework, refused to care for her in-laws, and even abandoned the child after giving birth, leaving it with Mr. and Mrs. Young and refusing to take care of it. Liam Young had numerous arguments with her, but she remained stubborn and continued doing as she pleased. To prevent Liam Young from cheating, she even took control of all the family's finances, to the point where he had to report to her even if he bought a bun on the street. On their wedding day, she told me she was physically unable to consummate the marriage and refused to share a bed with me. I couldn't take it anymore and wanted to divorce her, but she resorted to crying, screaming, and threatening suicide, claiming that if Liam Young divorced her, she would go to all the prominent families connected to the Young family and spread rumors that Liam Young had abandoned her and her child, accusing the Young family of hypocrisy and bullying a widow and her child. With no other choice, Liam Young had to endure it time and time again. Hearing these words, I felt no emotion, it was simply karma. Mrs. Young kept crying and wailing about how she had married such a daughter-in-law, grabbing my hand with hopeful eyes. If only we hadn't cancelled the wedding, I would have had such an outstanding daughter-in-law. I smiled faintly, pulled my hand out, and slipped it into the pocket in front of me. Every family has its own troubles, things will get better in the future. This half-hearted comfort clearly indicated my refusal. Mrs. Young knew it was hopeless, sighed a few times, and gave up. As soon as I left the ward, I heard a trembling voice calling out behind me, "Viv." I turned around to see Liam Young holding some supplements at the entrance of the ward. His face was sallow, clearly malnourished, his eyes had lost their luster, and he looked completely devoid of energy, bearing no resemblance to the once dashing and elegant artist he had been. "Viv, I heard you saved Dad. Thank you so much." I merely nodded. Liam Young seemed uneasy. "Viv, I regret it. I really miss the days when you used to cook for me at home. That was the best food I've ever eaten in my life." I quickly stepped back, reached into my pocket, and held my hand out in front of me. "Look closely. These are hands that perform surgery, not hands for housework." "Liam Young." I looked away for just a few seconds, and you came out to flirt with me again, right? "Do you want to die?" Scarlett Hale's sharp, venomous voice rang out. Liam Young's body trembled slightly, his eyes filled with disgust. Scarlett Hale walked up to me in her high heels, her eyes flickering for a moment when she recognized me. I looked at the woman in front of me, who had pampered herself into a plump, fair complexion, and without saying a word, turned and left. Behind me, I heard Scarlett Hale's curses echoing, "You dare to meet your old lover behind my back? Tonight, you'll go home and kneel on the washing board, don't even think about eating. It's all karma. Director Jiang, there's a surgical plan that needs your approval." I nodded, took the plan, and returned to my work. I still have a bright future ahead of me.